What's up, everybody? This is Justin Flinner coming to you live from Northern Virginia with the Justin Flinner podcast by My Mature Medicine. Today's topic is about one question that I get so frequently that I figured it's time that I just create a podcast and give you some of the answers right here, right now. That question is, does acupuncture work? So for those of you who know me, you know that I run a clinic out of Washington, D.C., out of the Northern Virginia area as well. I teach, I do all kinds of different things, but primarily the clinic focuses on acupuncture. Traditional Chinese medicine, Eastern medicine, Korean medicine, all based off of one particular practice that is thousands of years old. So, the question, does acupuncture work? I get so frequently by almost every single patient that comes to see me, or even those who have had it before are curious. They want to know a little bit more, maybe from my perspective, or maybe just to make themselves feel a little bit more comfortable. And the short answer to the question, does acupuncture work, is yes. Now, I say that confidently because, number one, I'm an acupuncturist. Now, you may think I have a biased opinion on it. However, I have received training over the course of almost a decade. And now, a little inside information about me. Actually, before I went to acupuncture school, I had never, not once in my life, have I ever had an acupuncture needle put in my body. Okay, I'd never had an acupuncture treatment in my entire life. And I decided that I would go to school to study it. So, it sounds a bit crazy, but it's something that I knew that would be a big part of my life, and I committed, and I said, you know what, I want to help change people's lives based off of the theory and the philosophy that I already gained from my martial arts background. Now, coming back to the question, does acupuncture work? Again, my answer is a resounding yes. And my response to the question that I received the other day was also, of course, yes. And you know what? Every time I get asked a question, I have to think again and again and again. It's like, that's like asking your grandma if she was 2,000 years old, do you know anything? So, this medicine, does it work? Of course it does. The medicine is well over 2,000 years old. And it has stuck around for this long. It has changed. It has adapted over the years to fit every individual as our cultures change, as our lifestyles change, as our eating habits change, as our economies change, as the world as a whole changes. So this medicine has lived and survived and thrived, if you will, in many parts of the world, but it is starting to come more and more into Western culture. And a lot of people are starting to ask, well, you know what, this is kind of new to us. And rightfully so, they have the question, does acupuncture work? So, my follow-up response is usually, do all medicines work all the time? Of course they don't. Now, I said, yes, does acupuncture work? Now, let me explain a little bit further. It works in some circumstances. In others, I wouldn't recommend acupuncture. For example, you break your arm. I hope you don't come and see me when you break your arm. I hope you go directly to the hospital. Okay? That's an obvious decision that everyone should be able to make at one point or another. Whenever certain conditions arise that are a threat to your health immediately, heart attack, etc., you make the right choice and go directly to the hospital. So, many forms of medicine exist, and we must be able to respect them all. It does not matter whether they sound wishy-washy or it's some form of, I don't know, the old saying of, snake oil salesman. Whether it's a naturopath, whether it's Ayurvedic medicine, whether it's acupuncture, whether it's Qigong, whether it's allopathic medicine. It does not matter. There are many forms of medicine that have come over the years, and we must learn to respect them all, no matter what style we practice. So it doesn't matter how silly they sound or if they seem unfounded. And the reason people distrust forms of medicine is because, I believe, two specific reasons. One is the lack of knowledge about that specific style of medicine. And two is the fear that the medicine might not work, which is usually based on number one, which is a lack of knowledge about it. So they go hand in hand. I can understand in a Western culture that you don't know as much about acupuncture and it's a little bit more difficult to understand. But if you sat down with me for about 15 to 30 minutes and we had a nice detailed conversation, I could give you the ins and outs, and probably even much less time than that, about why acupuncture is so effective on so many levels when it comes to treating the human body as a whole. Okay, that is one of our biggest focuses, is focusing on the body as an entire working system, as is every other form of medicine. However, we tend to believe that some separate it into smaller parts and then we forget how to put it back together, which is not the case. All physicians, all practitioners, all doctors, any kind of practitioner that is a healthcare provider knows that the body is a whole. It does not function only in separate parts. So, number two is the fear that the medicine won't work. Like I said, that usually is based in the lack of knowledge. So the fear that the medicine won't work usually keeps people from coming to see you in the first place. Now, not much we can do about that other than get messages out there like this that tell you that yes, there can be some positive results. Now, I say some because it's not always 100%. It never is and it never will be. Every form of medicine does not serve every single person. That's why people are always looking for different routes, different forms of treatment, because maybe one wasn't as successful as it could have been, or maybe there was some backtracking, whatever it might have been. So acupuncture itself, traditional Chinese medicine, Eastern medicine, Asian medicine, however you want to classify it, this medicine was not formed overnight. So I said earlier that it's well over 2,000 years old. And the number of years that it's been around and the number of patients that this form of medicine has helped will always trump the number of people who doubt it. The efficacy of this medicine has been recorded over the last few millennia in countless texts and adapted to fit the changing conditions of society, the environment, and personal lifestyles. It's survived this long with all these adaptations, all the while maintaining the same methods of diagnosis and inspection, which all stem from the same theoretical foundations. This medicine, acupuncture, is founded in one single place that cannot lie, that cannot falter. It can only change and adapt. And that place is in Mother Nature. The theories that form this medicine come from the only place that helps us as human beings to thrive, to live, to exist on this planet. So, yes, maybe the little acupuncture points, we have to test their efficacy or their purpose to see which one can be used for certain conditions, which one can be used for others. But it does not matter. The basis for choosing those points resides in the only thing that will not change, that will not fail as long as we are here on this planet, which is Mother Nature. So, when a medicine is based solely on the natural and unnatural fluctuations in nature, it is very hard to argue that it is ineffective. Because that would be the same as saying that nature doesn't work. And that is absurd. So, I had a thought that while I'm doing this podcast, that I'll just do a quick search for you to give you an idea of exactly how much research is going on out there in the field of acupuncture, alternative medicine. So, I'm going to do a couple quick searches right now on the spot. I'm going to check out Google, and I'll check out Google Scholar. We'll go a little bit deeper into Google. So just some quick searches that you guys can do yourself. And I'll actually also check out the NIH, the National Institute of Health. So as I go into Google, I'm going in there right now, and I'm going to type in acupuncture research articles. The number of results that I get is 1,060,000. That gives you an idea as to just Google alone on those 3 words. Now, if I go into Google Scholar with the same 3 words, I see 176,000. If I go into PubMed, which is part of the National Institute of Health, and I type in those 3 words, actually, maybe let me just type in acupuncture. I'll use 1 word, because this is a very specific site used for research articles and research studies, so I don't think those 2 words are actually necessary. But if I just type in acupuncture, I'm going to get 27,506 articles. So, I don't think I need to go any further in terms of the amount of research that is being done on acupuncture itself, but this medicine I have witnessed, and I have helped people through treating them with this medicine. This medicine does have the power to change somebody's life. Now, we may not treat such severe conditions as those that are emergency related, as I mentioned earlier, broken bones, heart disease, serious conditions that do require hospitalization, by all means. That's why we are sometimes unfortunately referred to as complementary, which means like we're number 2. But actually, a lot of practitioners, a lot of doctors, a lot of physicians are now saying that, you know what, before you come to us, before your conditions get into such a serious stage, you might just be able to go see someone like an acupuncturist or maybe a chiropractor or whatever kind of practitioner they believe would be helpful in those types of situations. For example, you got back pain or just pain in general. That's one of the things that physicians are now taking a look at and saying, you know what, to avoid us going further into a crisis or an opioid crisis, as it is now referred to, which it really is a crisis, it's an epidemic, why don't you see if there's other alternative methods of helping you relieve yourself of this pain? And acupuncture is one of those methods that can help people. Now, the only thing that sometimes deters people when they start to get treatment is the fact that acupuncture treatment doesn't always have an immediate effect. Every patient's body is a little bit different, and we honor that through the types of treatments that we design and the approaches that we take and the diagnoses that we also make. So the treatments may vary from individual to individual. The diagnoses may be different from one person to another. It doesn't matter if you have similar symptoms, such as knee pain in one person versus another. They can be 2 very different types of knee pain that stem from 2 very different places. One could be related to weight. One could be related to athletics. One could be related to an injury that you had 10, 15 years ago that just keeps coming up and disappearing. It comes and it goes. It comes and it goes. So everyone's condition, everyone's form of treatment that we provide to you, that I provide to my patients, will also vary from person to person. And I really try to focus on the fact that patients do need, you guys do need, when you're asking the question, does acupuncture work, a little bit more information, number 1, to help you feel a little bit more comfortable with what it is that I'm actually doing. I'm not performing any kind of magic tricks or some illusionary performance, some type of entertainment. Absolutely not. This medicine has been highly studied, highly refined, and adapted over the years as societies change. So it may be over 2,000 years old, but it doesn't mean that we're still treating people based off of the same conditions that existed years and years and years and years ago. We now have all kinds of diseases in today's modern society, which is something we actually like to do, which is create disease, but that's a whole other podcast. We'll save that for another time. So as society changes, as this medicine changes, it still hangs on. Why? Because it really looks deep into the body to find the root cause of your problems, the root cause of the pain and the suffering that keeps you from being able to live a life that is a fulfilling one, that allows you to reach further into yourself to find what it is that you are passionate about, what you are able to do, what you ultimately want to do with your life. So, does acupuncture work? Yes, it does. Now, another question I always get is, do the needles hurt? I'm not going to answer that one for you today, but I think you know what the answer is. We'll talk about that another time. So I thank you guys for tuning in. If you want to try acupuncture, or if you've done a little bit of research and you feel that it might be really beneficial to your condition, or if you have any questions whatsoever, you can always get in touch with me. Find us on Facebook. Send me a message. It'll come directly to me, and I will be able to get back directly to you. So call me, email me, send me a message on social media. Find out if acupuncture is good for your condition. We offer free consultations, so set one up. Go to the website, www.mymetromedicine.com, and we will do our best to help you along your way from ending your pain, ending your suffering. Thanks so much for tuning in today. This is Justin Flinner coming to you live from Northern Virginia with the Justin Flinner Podcast by My Metro Medicine. I hope everyone has an awesome day out there, and we'll see you next time.